So I want you to imagine this scene. I'm sitting in with some of the highest level executives in a record company. I won't even mention which one. And I'm sitting there with the iconic David Bowie and various other people that are in charge of all of his publicity and all of these, like I said, these execs from the record company. And I'm presenting the ideas, the concepts on a big series of boards for the album Outside, number one Outside. And this was the first real project that I worked together with Bowie on. And in a way, it was kind of considered to sort of come back to his true creative expression album. It was like, and there was a lot resting on it. There was a real lot resting on it. I mean, it was kind of a move away from him and the whole Tin Machine Band thing, and away from the whole 80s thing. So we're talking like 1994. I think that was the year, 1994, 95, something like that. Anyway, so I had these boards faced. I kind of I knew what was coming my way. So anyway, I had these boards faced towards the wall, and then I systematically went and turned them all around. And you should have seen the look on these people's faces. I mean, it was really like I'd just run over their dog and cat and then emptied their goldfish onto the floor. It was like, you just couldn't believe their eyes, and a few jaws literally dropped. And it wasn't because they were so startled at how utterly extraordinary and amazing and inspirational this set of ideas was. They were literally horrified, and you could see it on their faces. And nobody, there was this like kind of absolute stunned silence. And I'll see if I can put these up on the screen so you can sort of see kind of, these aren't the concepts, but this is kind of where we ended up with it. But the point I'm making here is that, this was not what they were looking for. This was absolutely not what they were looking for. And they kind of discreetly waited for Bowie to leave the room to go on to another meeting. And his driver came and he went, and all the other people that were part of his entourage went with him. And as soon as that door closed, like these people pounced on me, and I was subjected to like a barrage of like, you can't imagine what these people said. But the long and short of it was that they did not want this concept to go forward. There's absolutely no way they wanted it to go forward. And really what they were looking for was something that would kind of piggyback off the most successful commercial side of Bowie. And this really absolutely wasn't what they were looking for. And of course, I knew it. Everyone knew it. So everyone that I was working with in my studio, we all knew it. But we were absolutely like our thing. We didn't have anything to lose at this stage. So I felt that it was absolutely really imperative to just create full out expression. After all, this was David Bowie. How many opportunities do you get to work with someone like David Bowie? So we might as well just absolutely go for it. Just push the needle as far as it can possibly go. Absolutely go for it. And that was the philosophy all the way through. No holes barred. And that was really, basically one of the reasons that Bowie came to us in the first place. We were really out there. We were doing all kinds of different things with typography, with language, with the way we used images, constructed narratives. And this was like way back. This was before the whole internet thing, really took off. I mean, there was email, but it was all dial-up speed. This was like kind of internet stone age, no AI, nothing like that. But we were really looking to see how we could create something like that was, in a sense, for what that was for, was revolutionary. That was always the thing behind it. It had to be, visionary and revolutionary. And anyway, after this, I didn't really say anything in that meeting. I just kind of soaked up all of this. It wasn't even criticism. So I packed everything up, put it back in the portfolios, went back to my studio, and went home that night. And I even received a call at 3 a.m. in the morning. It was someone in Los Angeles, didn't even realize that we there was an 8 hour time difference between Los Angeles and the UK. So anyway, the next day, I thought, you know what, I'm going to have to address this. I can't just keep, I can't keep this to myself. And so anyway, I phoned Bowie and had a discussion with him, and I kind of said to him, I just said it straight. I outlined that these people absolutely, this was not what they were looking for. This was definitely not what they were looking for, and his response to me was, he just said, "Well, what do you think?" And I just said, "I'm 100% behind this." He said, "Right, that's the end of it." That was the end of the discussion. And the point I'm making here, well, there's another little bit to it. There's another interesting little bit to this story, is that actually what had happened is that I'd gone back to my studio, and I'd actually, for some reason, we had a whole series of books, all kinds of different books on philosophy, on art, on, all forms of creativity. We really went to town on our studio library. And for some reason, I mean, in some ways, I'm not even massively into him, but I just picked out a book by Rumi, and it had this particular. I opened it up and read this particular thing, and it said, I've got it at the side here. It says, "Run from what's comfortable, forget safety, live where you fear to live, destroy your reputation. Be notorious. I have tried prudent planning long enough. From now on, I'll be mad." And that was it. It was like, no way was anything getting taken off the table with this project. And we stuck to it. We completely went for it. In fact, we pushed it even further. And the looks of horror on these people's faces sometimes when I was presenting things got even vaster. The horror was vast that this thing provoked. And since then, of course, like this artwork and the photo shoot and the whole thing has even kind of turned into it's almost like a ritualistic piece of art, the whole thing. And that's totally what it was all about. We were creating like a modern day ritual for this whole thing. So the actual production of the art was like a ritual. It was ritualized. That's what we wanted it to be. That was the whole thing around the concept. And it wasn't just to shock. It was really just to understand the core of what was being communicated in the album, in the music, in the lyrics, etc. Oh, one other thing that was totally off the wall, like completely. I'll see if I can put this on screen. We completely destroyed all of the lyrics. So normally you'd have all these lovely, everyone's rifling through the lyrics. And, we just decided to completely obliterate the lyrics, to turn the lyrics into completely abstract pieces of art, which I don't think had been done before. So, again, it wasn't because nobody had done it. It was just because that was the whole spirit of the project. And the spirit of the project determined how far we were willing to push it. And the thing is that, as you probably know about David Bowie, is that he was someone that was quite prepared to destroy his reputation. And I really admired that about him. I mean, this was an album it was so important. It was a kind of a comeback album in the way he was re-collaborating with Brian Eno. It was a really important thing. And he didn't flinch, not at all. The main point was the creativity. The main point was the art. And all of this stuff about reputation and whatnot, that was didn't even enter the picture. Now, the reason for telling you this story is not to kind of blow any trumpets or anything like that. But what I'm noticing is that the culture that we've created with all this social media and stuff like that, it's turned artists and creators, right? Real creators, whether you're a writer, whether you're an artist, whether you're a filmmaker, it's forcing these people to become safe, to be afraid to destroy things, to be afraid to destroy their reputation. So it's like a while back, a friend of mine phoned me. She's a wonderful artist, and and she was like in absolute terror because her Instagram account had been shut down. She couldn't get back into it, and this really got me thinking. I'm like, what have these systems done? They're back to all of us. They've turned us into like sort of performing chimps. And I don't mean to say this in a way that is like, of course, there's good things about them, and there's good things, the fact that we can showcase our work and reach audiences and all of this sort of stuff. But overall, if I go back to when we didn't have any of this stuff, yeah, there was a different sense of things. If you were a creator, if you were an artist, if you were a designer, if you were a musician, if you were a writer, and it was a sense that I mean, of course, if you're out there painting seaside pictures and selling them to tourists, it's a different level. But I'm talking about the true creative, the artist, the creator. And the artist and the creator is really all about sort of, it's pushing reality, it's exploring reality. Yeah. And the whole thing about this is that if you become afraid to really explore, afraid to fail, afraid to have this thing that you've created, this persona or this identity, afraid to lose it, then that shapes all of the work that you're doing. It shapes your entire orientation to life, in fact. And it's this thing that when we are willing to literally destroy something, to put it to one side, to walk away from something, and to reinvent, to reimagine, to re-engage with reality, this takes us to a whole different level as an artist and as a creator. And really, in the world that we're moving towards now, we need to bring, if you're an artist, if you're a creator, if you're any form of creator, and I spoke about this in the last video I did, that basically these three vessels that are trying to cross this weird unknown sea that's heading our way. And just to be aware of what vessel, if you're on the visionary vessel, then you're going to stand some chance of making it across. If you're in the functional vessel, you're going to sink real fast. So if you're not prepared, and if you're in the tech race vessel, you're going to sink. And what I want for artists and creators, and you see, the thing is, look, I'm not trying to build a career anymore. I'm not really, I'm not in that game. I'm as old as the hills. I've gone past that game. Yeah. So because I've gone past that game, I've got no axe to grind with it. I'm not worried about having my Instagram deleted. It really doesn't care. I don't care if anybody watches this. Yeah. But I do care. Well, actually, that's not true. I do care. I want people to watch this, and I want them to take away something really important from it. I want them to take away that who they are as an artist and a creator is fundamentally a gift. It's a gift from the divine. It's a divine gift. Yeah. And if that gift, if that capacity, if that energy, if that spirit is being controlled by these systems that corral us into all performing for them, performing in a certain way, trying to please the algorithm, trying to get likes, trying to do this, trying to somehow keep the stability of this little self that we've created. And really what we want to do, we just want to obliterate that whole way of looking at things, because the role of the creator, of the artist, is to challenge the systems, to not conform, to show, to look and actively search out other ways, sound like Star Trek, other ways of expressing things, to go deep into the mystery of life. Now, with these systems, everything's controlled. Everything is just the way they want it to be. Yeah. And what we've done, we've been lulled into this like a malaise, a way, is that the word? Yeah, I almost said mayonnaise. But we've been lulled into this way of operating where the actual thing itself dictates our creativity. Yeah. And we've all seen it. We can, if you've only got to go on any one of these platforms and you will see this in operation. You will see fear, and it's all about fear. The creator has become fearful. The creator has become weak in their capacity to channel the true creativity. And we have to, what, I mean, what's the only thing I could say? We have to learn how to fight back. And this doesn't mean you go and delete everything straight away and you do all of these other things, but we have to start thinking about the fact that this system is going to chomp all of us up eventually. Because the thing that these systems don't like, they hate artists. They actually hate us. They don't like us. They don't like creativity. Schools don't like creativity. Universities don't like creativity. They do not want creators to prosper. Now, they might give us all of these, like, you've only got to look at what comes out of this stuff, yeah? So in a way, what was interesting, that what was one of the first kind of things to drop in this whole AI thing, it was the first thing to drop, and the thing that's literally is dropping like flies, is the creative industries. Now, have you asked yourself why that is? And if you look back through history, what you'll see is the fact that whatever dictatorship or system comes in, the first thing that they would always do is get rid of all the creators. Yeah, they would burn all of the books, or they would destroy the art, and they would only allow those that conformed and communicated the message that they wanted to communicate. So in a sense, what we've found ourselves, we've walked into the trap. We've walked in like with open arms, and we've all indulged in it. We've given them all of our creativity for like sod all, for nothing. And we've allowed that system to come about. And as creatives, we've forgotten who we are. We've literally forgotten who we are. Yeah. And when you come back to that, when you wake up to the fact that what you're doing as a creator is you are redefining what's possible. You are working in the realms of the impossible. You are going to the realm of the where you don't know that you don't know. And that's what we're coming back with. We're giving voice, we're giving sight, we're giving sound, we're giving words, we're giving language, we're giving structures to what we don't know that we don't know. And what these systems do, they just give us what we know we know. So we already know it, and we're just feeding around in this loop. So we need to find a way to stop being afraid to have our reputations destroyed. So Schopenhauer said, every act of creation is automatically an act of destruction. And really what we're engaged in here is like the book, The War of Art. This system is not our friend. It's not our friend. No matter how many likes and how many fans we might get from it, no matter how much it might promise to give us a paycheck at the end of it from slapping loads of useless, horrible adverts on our over the top of us. Yeah. No matter how much it promises, yeah, it will never deliver the promise because it doesn't like us. It really doesn't like us. And we have to wake up to that. And I'm inviting you as a creative to come back to your creative spirit. Create from that. Don't create from what they want you to create. Create from your own creative spirit. Don't be afraid. Be bold. Be innovative. Discover what is truly possible for you. Really go into it. And you will be amazed at how your life transforms if you engage in that as a project.